Rain fell gently on the dark streets of the city, the cold wind cutting through every corner. In one of these streets walked Ethan, a small boy of 7, his hair messy and clothes worn out, carrying a small bag with a few belongings. His big eyes were filled with fear and sadness. Each step on the wet pavement felt heavy, as if the whole world had abandoned him. Ethan hadn't always been alone. Just a few days ago, his life had been very different. He lived with his mother and father in a small, cozy house. But a tragic accident turned his world upside down. While returning from the market with his mother, a sudden crowd and commotion pushed him away. He tried to scream, but his voice was drowned out by the chaos. When the crowd dispersed, his mother was nowhere to be seen, and Ethan found himself alone in the vast city. Lost, scared, with no shelter and no one to guide him, he walked past hurried strangers, trying to stay unnoticed, yet the weight of loneliness pressed heavily on his heart. "Where will I sleep tonight? Who will protect me?" he thought, finding no answer. After wandering for some time, Ethan reached a dark corner under a bridge, scattered with wet cardboard boxes. He tried to hide among the shadows, sitting on the cold ground and clutching his small bag tightly. The cold and hunger gnawed at him, and tears rolled down his cheeks, but he tried to appear brave despite the overwhelming helplessness. Then, a faint glimmer of hope appeared. An old church on the street corner, illuminated softly by a yellow lamp outside. The warm light contrasted with the rainy gloom, inviting him closer. With cautious steps, he approached, torn between fear and hope. From a distance, Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman with a gentle, kind face, noticed the small boy. She paused for a moment, then slowly approached, holding out some warm clothes and a small snack. Ethan looked at her with wide, fearful eyes, yet felt a slight relief. She smiled warmly, saying, "Don't worry, little one. We'll make sure you're safe tonight." Ethan sat a little away from the rain, taking a bite of the food with trembling hands. His face reflected a mix of fear and relief, tears blending with the first smile he had managed in days. At that moment, he realized that someone cared, and that hope still existed in this cold, indifferent world. The following morning, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening with puddles reflecting the pale sunlight. Ethan sat quietly in a small corner of the churchyard, holding the warm clothes Mrs. Thompson had given him. Despite the temporary comfort, his heart was heavy with worry. "Where is Mom? Where is Dad?" he whispered to himself, tears threatening to fall again. Mrs. Thompson knelt beside him, her voice gentle but firm. "Ethan, we're going to help you find your family. You're not alone anymore." Her words were a small spark of hope in his frightened heart. They visited the local community center, where volunteers began searching for missing children. Ethan showed them an old photograph of his parents, pointing out the familiar faces. Each street he remembered from that day flashed vividly in his mind. The marketplace, the crowded lanes, the spot where he had been separated from his mother. Hours turned into a tense day of waiting, questions, and anxious glances. Ethan clung to Mrs. Thompson's hand, his tiny fingers tightening around hers whenever doubt crept in. The volunteers made phone calls, checked records, and spoke with neighbors, slowly tracing the paths of the frantic parents who had been searching for their son. Finally, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, a kind-faced man and woman appeared at the entrance of the center. Ethan froze, his heart pounding. Could it be? His mother's eyes were wide, scanning every child until they landed on him. Recognition, shock, and relief flooded her face all at once. "Mama!" Ethan whispered, his voice trembling. Ethan's mother ran forward, enveloping him in a desperate embrace. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she held him close. "Oh, Ethan, I thought I lost you forever." Ethan's father joined them, wrapping his arms around both of them. The reunion was filled with sobs, laughter, and silent prayers of relief. In that moment, the world seemed to pause, holding its breath as a lost family found each other again. Mrs. Thompson stepped back, a gentle smile on her face, watching the scene unfold. Ethan looked at her, eyes shining with gratitude. For the first time in days, he felt completely safe, surrounded by love and warmth. Text on screen, if adapted for video, Ethan, the boy who lost everything, finally found his family. But millions of children are still searching for hope. The night fell gently over the city, the streets now calm and quiet after the day's chaos. Ethan sat in his parents' car, wrapped in a warm blanket, watching the streetlights flicker like tiny stars. His mother held his hand tightly, while his father gently brushed his hair back, both silently reassuring him that he was safe. For days, Ethan had wandered alone, lost and scared, but now he felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in what felt like forever. The cold streets, the loneliness, the hunger, they were all behind him. He looked at his parents' faces, etched with exhaustion and relief, and finally allowed himself to smile. The following days were filled with small joys, warm meals, bedtime stories, and laughter echoing through the house. Ethan began to heal, surrounded by love, safety, and the comfort of family. But the memories of being lost lingered, a quiet reminder of the fragility of childhood and the importance of caring for those in need. Mrs. Thompson continued to visit, her presence a gentle bridge between the community and families like Ethan's. She shared a simple but powerful message with him. Even in the darkest times, there is hope. And sometimes, a little kindness can change a life forever. Ethan's story spread throughout the city, touching the hearts of many. People donated, volunteered, and helped children in need, inspired by the courage and resilience of one small boy. Though he had been lost, Ethan became a symbol of hope, reminding everyone that love and compassion could guide even the most lost souls home. Closing text for video or publication. Ethan, the boy who lost everything, found his family again. But millions of children are still searching for hope, love, and safety. You can make a difference.